Hello and welcome back to the Cinema Wave podcast. It is I, Vinny Albano, and I am your solo host today. It has been a little bit since we've had such arrangement as Vinny mini reviews, but I'm back at it. And today we're speaking about Godzilla X Kong New Empire. Now, on one of my previous mini reviews, I did Godzilla -1. And as you guys know, if you've watched that, I'm a huge Godzilla fan. I literally wouldn't be in here. I wouldn't be here talking about cinema. Wouldn't be, attending film school if it wasn't for Godzilla. Because Godzilla shaped my childhood. I loved all the Toho films growing up, and then eventually having Gareth Edwards' beginning of the MONSTERVERSE. I love Godzilla. Godzilla means a lot. I love when Godzilla is, a metaphor and a deeper introspection into us and humanity. But I also love when Godzilla's a goofy kaiju, fighting monster. This Adam Wingard second film in the MONSTERVERSE, he did Godzilla vs. Kong as well. Definitely leans more in the goofy fun side of the kaiju antics, which is it's fine. I like it. I will say Godzilla vs. Kong I liked. I don't Obviously it's not like an incredible film, but I thought it was a film that was very fun and had a lot of awesome action. And that's where they really struck for me. Now, Wingard's Godzilla X Kong that we're talking about today, I don't think it's as good as Godzilla vs. Kong. I actually like Godzilla vs. Kong a little bit more. I think this film kind of landed flat for me in a lot of areas, but also improved a lot on what the other MonsterVerse films up to this point have been struggling with. Let's just dive right into it. Try not to waste any time as I'm kind of dilly-dallying here, but what people have been talking about is this film's ability to not constantly cut back to the humans and in the midst of battle. I will say there is a lot of human stuff here, and it is painfully boring, and it is not fun. Super convoluted exposition pieces that the humans are just there to explain and explain and explain and do some weird stuff that just comes out of nowhere. But I will say this film does have long monster kaiju battle pieces that are awesome and just fun to watch, that doesn't just in the mist cut to a human. I had this big problem with Godzilla King of Monsters where the second the action was about to ramp up and it was about to get crazy and we're about to see cool monsters fighting, then they would cut to a human. And the flow of that just ruined it for me. But in this, definitely they have improved. There's long sequences of just monster battle, which is fun. But then eventually we're going to have to get back to the humans. And unlike Toho's recent Godzilla -1, the humans are not interesting. They're pretty boring. And they're just, like I mentioned, spouting exposition constantly. I also just was kind of expecting more out of this. I thought the thing that I really liked about Gareth Edwards' Godzilla and from 2014 and Godzilla vs. Kong was the scale of these monsters. That's what I love about these monsters, is that they're huge and they're these absolutely dominating forces of nature that will destroy cities in a couple seconds. And the cinematography in Godzilla vs. Kong, as well as 2014's Godzilla, really emphasizes that. I remember the one shot from Godzilla vs. Kong where Godzilla's coming onto the air carrier, and it's from a human's eye level perspective, as just his claw just towards the lens of the camera, and he just boom, boom on top of the carrier to fight King Kong. This film, most of it, almost all of the film with the monsters, most of the film with the monsters takes place in Hollow Earth, which everything is big in Hollow Earth, which was introduced in the previous film. So you don't really get that sense of scale a lot of the time. Like King Kong just kind of feels like normal size because of him also being around big creatures and then coming across other creatures that are even bigger than him. So that sense of scale I do really miss, and it took away from what I was excited for, was those epic action pieces where I was expecting that scale. And it definitely delivers at points. Don't get me wrong. It delivers at points and it is fun. But I still prefer the moments in the previous installment compared to this. I am a Godzilla fan, and I love King Kong. I love my big monkey with his axe, his cool axe that he got in the last one. But Godzilla is sidelined this movie. He just kind of, it's mostly a King Kong movie. He's going on this adventure, and then we cut back to Godzilla like, oh, well, Godzilla, he's out doing this, and we cut to him briefly. Okay, he's doing that. Okay, and then he rests, and he charges up, and then he goes here, and he rests, and he charges up, and then he comes into the last 30 minutes during the final act, and plays some significance. I do want to see, I'm not going to lie, I'm just being brutally honest here. I love King Kong, but I want to see more Godzilla. For him being in the title, it's more of a King Kong New Empire featuring Godzilla rather than Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire. So definitely wanted more of my lizard friend. But yeah, that's really all I really have to say. The film is fun. Don't go into this expecting -1's commentary on survivor's guilt or a crazy, plot line. Plot line is fairly stupid, but you're there for the big monster action. And if you could just kind of graze past the convoluted exposition and boringness of the human characters, then you can enjoy some monster fun. I will say, though, Dan Stevens and Brian Tyree Henry here are the standout of the cast. When there are human moments, they're the ones that are providing some humor. But like mentioned, it's not so much to the point where they're the saving grace of the film, but I would like to shout them out. If Wingard gets another film greenlit by Warner Brothers here to make another Godzilla, I know he did say he wanted to have the next installment, if he were to have one, be more Godzilla focused, please. I would like that. I just feel like in all these movies, Godzilla is very sidelined. Even in, I know Wingard didn't do 2014's Godzilla, but in 2014's Godzilla, he's only in the film for like less than 7 minutes. But yeah, that's my thoughts. Just wrapping it up. It's a solid, it's a fun time. If you didn't like Godzilla vs. Kong, you're going to hate this movie. If you liked Godzilla vs. Kong like me and had a fun time with that one, you may like this one. Definitely more convoluted, but still some big monkey, big lizard action going on. So I'm going to give this a solid 5.5, kind of leaning more towards a 6 out of 10. Ratings are whatever, but it was okay. It was okay. If you don't already follow us on @CinemaWave Media on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Threads, as well as @_CultureWave Media, where you can find us on Instagram, I recommend you do so. We have content on there, more content, as well as you're able to keep up in the loop around here. Up until next time, have a good one.
This is The Culture.